Hello everyone, this is Chelsea from Those with Words. Welcome to the channel. Today I'm here to share with you part 3 of my advent calendar log that I've been working on as part of my December daily for this year. As a quick reminder, December daily is a journaling practice where you can journal every day of December up to the 25th or sometimes even the whole month. I also want to thank my kind friend who went to TSL Kureshiki in Japan recently and gifted me this beautiful Christmas leather tag. I think it's so cute. It came with that red ribbon, so I thought it was a perfect fit for my December daily journal, which I'm working on in a passport refill. So I took the passport size refill in the traveler's notebook in the olive one, and I put that together with the leather tag, and I think it just looks so nice together. Here are the 2 days that I worked on while I was off camera. So these are days 8 and 9. And especially for day 9, I was a little bit experimental with the watercolor there. So I actually practiced wetting the paper a little bit more with water before going in with the different colors in order to really blend them together, hopefully seamlessly. And I think it worked out quite well and I really enjoy the results, but I didn't want to worry about that whole process being recorded, and so I actually took the time to do that off camera and just took my little time with it, and I think it turned out really nicely and I enjoy the results quite a bit. So we're on to day 10 now, and I think I specifically picked out this coffee washi tape to use with it because this day's chocolate had to do a little bit more with espresso and hazelnut, if I remember correctly. And then I'm putting down that calendar sticker, as usual is my process. I have saved a lot of the labels in this sticker release paper, which is a Traveler's Company insert, because I think it's just easier to gather them on one page. What I basically do is I cut out the labels from each of the chocolates, and then I put double-sided tape at the back, and then I put them on the sticker release paper page to be used later. If I remember correctly, last time I said something about maybe trying to draw in pen immediately instead of using pencil and then erasing the pencil lines with my eraser after going back in with the pen. No, I go back with the pen first and then I use the eraser, but you get my point. I always used to use pencil first. And this one I thought was simple enough. It was just like little chocolates in a bag. So I thought I don't have to use pencil for that, right? I can just go ahead and use my pen right away and I don't need the extra pencil lines and the eraser work. So I decided to just go right in there and I think it worked out okay. Again, these are just like pebble chocolates basically, so they weren't that challenging to draw. But I was happy with myself that I just went right in with pen. I don't think that I do that for the rest of this video, but at least for this one, that's what I ended up doing. And with the watercolors here for this particular one, I'm trying to create a little bit more of a gradient and some kind of texture so that it's not like, the pebble chocolates look super flat. So that's what I'm going for here. I hope all of you are doing well. We're almost to the end of 2023, which is pretty wild to me. As I'm recording this voiceover, we're pretty much midway into the month of December, and 2024 is right around the corner. And as much as I'm excited to set up and really use my 2024 notebooks, and just, in general, looking forward to the new year, it just feels always, extra reflective during this time of year, I think, where I'm just kind of thinking about, wow, like this is all that happened this year and all of that. And I don't know, just personally speaking, this year was a bit of a trying one. So I am happy to put it behind me, but at the same time, I am trying to think about the things I learned and how I grew as a person over the last year. That is to say, if you have been feeling also somewhat reflective during this time of year, I am right there with you. I also think it's important not to be too hard on ourselves because I think this time of year is when a lot of people also celebrate their accomplishments for, what they did in 2023. And I think that's really awesome. But I think it's also okay if we don't have notable, accomplishments this year. I don't know if that makes sense. If you just live life and you took care of yourself, I think that's great too. For the next day, going back to the journaling a little bit here. That's kind of how my voiceovers go, by the way. I just kind of go in and out of talking about the journaling process, and then I just talk about what I feel like talking about. So I hope that's okay with you. This is day 11, and the sticker calendar for this day, that little cat sticker that I put down that says 11, it was a little bigger than I anticipated. And so I chose to make the chocolate drawing a little smaller to try and accommodate for that. This will kind of continue over the next couple of pages where the chocolate drawings seem a little bit smaller than the prior pages. And then I think later on in the final pages, I managed to find a little bit more space. So for those, I made the chocolates a little bit larger again, but just kind of adjusting to what each page has and what kind of room I have at the moment. As I mentioned before, for this chocolate, I did not go in with pen first because it was a very cubic type of textured chocolate. There were a lot of surfaces on this chocolate, and I didn't necessarily want to lose that, so I went in with pencil first on this one. To me, what was particularly challenging about this particular one was the lighting, or like what parts of the chocolate were darker versus lighter, not necessarily because of the way it was made or the way it was colored by the chocolate maker, but because of just like the lighting that I took the photo of the chocolate in. I tried my best to mix like the dark brown, for example, with a slightly lighter brown to reflect that as best as I can. But my main goal here was, again, to not make it look too flat on the page. And then I'm giving it a little shadow down at the bottom to also help with that factor. I'm still using the same Sailor Pro gear to write about the chocolates themselves, and I really like the color match between, most of the brown paints that I'm using for the chocolates and this beige ink, which is Ferris Wheel Press Oyster Hour. I only have a sample of that ink, but I have really enjoyed using it. It writes really well. It's actually quite juicy on the Sailor Medium nib, so it's really nice. Giving it a couple points there, some highlights with the Zig Clean Color Dot Metallic Silver marker, and that is day 11. Moving on to day 12, I picked out this particular washi tape for it because I think this day's chocolate had really interesting spices in it. And I don't know that the washi tape has the correct spices that were a part of the chocolate, but I have a washi tape that has like cloves, basil and things like that. So I just decided to put that there, even though it's not like the perfect match for what was in the chocolate, but it just kind of reminded me of the overall theme. I also added this little moon piece this is from the 2022 Sora moon calendar. And I had a couple pieces mailed to me by a good friend, and I decided to just use that up just because I thought it looked nice together. No particular reason for that one. Something I also tried to do, and this time I'm just going in with pen, I think because this chocolate is just like not the prettiest shape, but the taste was really deep and really good. So that was kind of interesting. And as I was saying earlier, to finish my thought from earlier, What I try to do is I try my best to vary where the labels go as well as where the drawings go. So for this particular page, I placed the label on the back of the drawing from the previous page, because for the prior page, by the time I was on here, the drawing from the previous page hadn't really fully dried yet. So since I used a little bit of watercolor, there was a bit of a crinkled part on this new page. And so I put the label over there specifically so that I don't have to worry about drawing over that crinkled area or writing over it. And then I chose to draw the chocolate on a slightly different area from that. Hopefully I'm making sense there. I went ahead and attempted to dry it as best as possible with this really old pencil board. This green pencil board that you see me using is the A6 Hobonichi pencil board, and it's the very first Hobonichi pencil board I have ever had, so that goes way back to 2017 when I got my Spring Start A6 Techo from Hobonichi. The pencil board is quite old, and as you can see, it's not maybe in its best shape, but I just use it to block my hand from, let's say, like smearing that watercolor drawing. I was a little bit worried about that, so I put that down and then I put my hand on top of it as I was writing about it, so that can definitely help a lot when I'm working on these types of projects. This is where I realized that I forgot to put Day 12's calendar sticker on the previous page. And it's funny because while I was working on that previous page, I remember thinking, oh, there's so much room on this page. Oh, how interesting. And then by the time I got to working on Day 13, I realized, oh, that's because I forgot to put down the date sticker. And I somehow managed to make that work by putting it just across the middle. And luckily, I had placed the label for the next day, Day 13, a little bit far to the right. So that kind of worked out, but that was not intentional. I completely forgot about it until I got to the next page and I looked at the sticker sheet itself. And because of that, I had to reduce the size of the chocolate drawing on this page. I just didn't have enough space after those two date stickers were put down. And I wanted to make sure that I had enough room to write about it too, so I sort of stuck it in a corner. This chocolate was actually pretty fun to draw, but I simplified it quite a bit. It had a bunch of different snowflake designs on the front, which looked really, really pretty, but I didn't really want to spend too much time working on it because, again, this is like a quick catch-up process for me and I wanted to have fun with it. So instead of drawing multiple snowflakes, I ended up drawing one main one, which, turned out okay. As you can see by my hand motion, I thought it was just okay. And I still think it looks fine, but maybe not the best rendition of a snowflake drawing. But I ended up just drawing one main one on the chocolate just to remind myself like that's generally what the design was like, but I didn't go into too much detail on that one. And this chocolate had a mint flavor to it, so the snowflake itself was like a really pretty light blue color. And I'm trying my best to represent that here without necessarily like diluting the rest of the chocolate color. So I chose to watercolor the little snowflake first since it's lighter and it's more of like a highlight. And then I went in with the rest of the brown color for the rest of the chocolate. The medium water brush that I'm working with here, it was a little bit challenging to really get into the nooks and crannies of the drawing there, but I think it turned out okay in the end. I could have pulled out, I have a fine water brush, so I could have pulled that out and used that instead, but I just kind of stuck with the one I had and pushed through. I also have a very thin Escoda travel brush that I could have used. I believe the one I have is a number 4. But since part of the kit that I put together is just this medium water brush, I decided to just make it work. Going back to a little bit more of the reflective side of my voiceover, I realized that I probably have too many plans lined up for the break. So I will be, just in a couple of business days, I will be on holiday break until the new year, which I'm very excited about. It's about a 2-week break, and I've been looking forward to it for quite some time. And while planning for the break, I put down a bunch of stuff that I wanted to do, like deep clean the whole room, reorganize this office area. I have a stationery cart and I wanted to reorganize that. So I have like all these things written down on a to-do list because I thought I would just be home the whole time. I don't have any particular travel plans for the break. But then as we get closer to break, I realize that my calendar is actually filling up a little bit. I'm catching up with friends I haven't seen in a long time. I am spending more time with family. And so I'm not home every single day as I thought I would be. And so I'm at a point where I need to revisit my holiday break to-do list and just really reset expectations with myself. Something else that I really need to remember is to just let myself rest during breaks. I have this weird relationship with productivity where I think it tends to define me and my self-worth like a little bit too much. So even during weekends or, like holiday breaks, when you're supposed to rest and recharge and just like take it easy as much as you can, I usually have some kind of to-do list. I'm like really strangely ambitious about how much time I want to spend doing, X, Y, and Z, like all these different things during break. And when I don't end up accomplishing any of those things because, I was actually resting, I tend to feel bad about it. It's something I've definitely been working on over the last couple of years. And as my partner likes to point out to me, like, you're supposed to do that. You're supposed to rest and sleep in and not really stress yourself out during break with too many things to do, because that's what, the other days, that's what happens to you anyway. So, during break, you're supposed to relax. And of course, he is right. And so I am going to try my best to curb down my to-do list. I'm going to cut it down and make it a little bit more manageable for myself. Because like I said earlier, the closer I get to this holiday break period, the more I realize that like I don't have as much free time of just being at home and like just doing nothing as much as I thought. So yeah. Also, of course, I am very much aware of the privileged position that I'm in to be able to take a 2-week holiday break. Lots of other people work during this period of time, and it can also be a very stressful time as people are, out and about. And it can be a lot the end of the year for a lot of people. So I am also cognizant of that. So regardless of how much my schedule fills up or how much or little of my to-do list I get done, I'm just gonna, try to be grateful for this holiday season. And that is day 5, and those are the pages that I worked on for this video. This is the last video for the Advent calendar. Maybe I'll, be able to share a full flip through of it later, but thank you so much for joining me on this 3-part Journal With Me series. I really enjoyed making this, so I hope you enjoyed watching as much as I loved making it. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye.